All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to show you how to make the passenger base for the Automo blocks right now. This is another one of the parts that you need to make for assignment 5.2. So we're going to be in Autodesk. We're going to start a new file, standard.ipt. All right. Once we're there, we're going to start a 2D sketch, and we want to once again start in the XY plane. So let's take a look at our dimensions. Once again, you have these sheets, but they're also available in the assignment up here at the top where it says T9 dimension drawings. That's what I'll be looking at. Right. So we want to start by making our rectangle here, 1.98 by 1.59. See the dimensions right there. So I'm going to start to click. So always starting from the origin. Once again, make note of which dimension is highlighted first. Right now, it's my width dimension. That is my 1.98 dimension. So I'm going to do 1.98. I'm going to hit tab. And now I'm going to type 1.59 and hit enter. All right, and that creates my rectangle. Escape to back out of the tool. The next thing that we want to create in this is this little A shape. And I'm going to just draw it, but I'm not going to dimension it quite yet. We'll do the dimensioning in a bit. Right now, all we want to focus on is getting the proper shape at a relative size, making sure that things are lined up down here, they're vertical, they're horizontal, all of that. So I'm going to use the line tool. All right. Click once to place. So like I said, we're just going for a rough size, making sure that we are going horizontal, and you can see the horizontal constraint symbol on the right side. That means that it's already going to be horizontal when needed. All right. If you see down here at the very bottom, coming out of the left side of my cursor, those dotted lines that are lining up with the bottom of the other line, that means that we are in line with that. So that's a collinear constraint that we're getting there. So now we can make sure we're going horizontal, directly vertical, directly horizontal, vertical in the down direction, once again lining up with everything, and then finally closing off the shape. And you can see that the shape's closed off because of that green dot. All right, so now we're going to hit escape. So we have the A shape. Next, what we're going to do is we are going to add our dimensions. So we're just going to come here using these lines for the width. We're going to use these for our height. And we also need to add these at the top of this one shape down here so that we know exactly how big it is. So I'm not going to click back to this file every single time I need to see what the dimension is. I'm referring to the plans that I already have printed out, or you can be referring to the ones on your computer. Just to let you know, I'm not clicking back and forth every time. But the idea is we're going to dimension from the side to each point, and I'm going to drag those dimensions down so that at least they line up like this. It'll look a lot nicer. So let's do that. So I'm just going to start working from the side and just methodically work through each dimension. So there's the first one that we need is 0.19. Go back to the side to here. Notice how I'm pulling them down to stack them. That's 0.44. Looks like it didn't take, so let's double click 0.44. Notice how I'm going to actually stack these just so that they're lined up nicely. Here to this point is now 0.6. And here to here is going to be 0.85. All right, so now we need the vertical dimensions. Those are coming once again off of another part of this on the right. So from here to here is 0.06. Here to here is 0.38. And then here to from the bottom to the top is 0.77. All But notice that there's still 2 dimensions needed. We can see this here. We're not fully constrained. This whole thing hadn't turned purple or blue or whatever color we say it is. So we're getting these from the top left of our dimension drawings. I'll just go back and show you real quick where those are coming from right here. Here to here is 0.25, and here to here is 0.79. All right, so as you can see, we're now fully constrained. We're good to go. Now, there's a bunch of different ways to create the other 3. You can either redo the sketches and redimension everything. I am going to use a combination of pattern tools that we haven't seen yet. First, I'm going to use what's called the rectangular pattern. So it duplicates geometry and arranges it in rows and columns, which looks very useful for what we're doing. So let's do that. First, geometry. So we got to select our geometry. We're going to click drag to select all of this. Next, we want to tell it what direction to go, direction 1, direction 2. By the arrow, the first thing you have to do is an axis. Do we want it in the y-axis or the x-axis? I'm going to choose to mirror it in the y-axis. So we click a line that's running vertically. So as you can see, we have this green arrow that just appeared showing us the direction that it's going. And if we zoom out, you can actually see that it's planning to mirror it down here, but that's in the wrong direction that we want. So we want to flip it. All right, next thing we can see, this option gives us how many. So if I turn that from 2 to 5, it would mirror it 5 times. It would make 5 total. We just want 2 total. We also need to choose how far apart the mirroring is. So we can see this is a little bit of a problem right now at 1 inch. So here's what we're going to do. All right, we're going to make Autodesk do some math for us. We know that we need to take the total height, 1.59, and in that distance, in that 1.59, to find the correct distance, we need to remove the height that this first one is sitting at. This first one right here is sitting, is 0.77. So we're going to remove the 0.77. Notice that gets us a little bit closer. By doing that, it actually puts it right on the line. But the next thing that we have to do is, if you look at the instructions, we need to leave this space right here. Well, that space is going to be 0.06. So we also need to remove that space. So let's remove 0.06. All right, now notice that we're sitting in line. We say okay, and there it is. All right. Now, we could have used the mirror pattern once again to mirror it over to the other side. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So once again, we've selected our geometry. I did the direction opposite. We had 1.59 minus 0.77 minus 0.06. I could go direction 2 and choose the X direction and flip it. All right. And we want our pattern in this space to be another basically subtraction of numbers. But I'm not going to worry about pattern number 2. We're going to just take that off because I want to show you all now the mirror tool. So we're going to use the mirror tool to flop things from a mirrored sketch across an axis, but we have to create an axis. So what I'm going to do is use a construction line. All right. So this is a line that won't actually affect any extrusions. We're turning a regular line to construction. All right. Now, a couple of ways to do this is I can either place it and dimension it, but you see how it turns green right there? That means that it is now halfway down the middle of the sketch. We can confirm that with the dimension. Should be 0.98, 1.98 divided by 2. Let me show you how to do this if you didn't have that line. Let's say that I just put a construction line right here. Now I can dimension. If I need it down halfway down the sketch, I can edit this dimension to be 1.98 divided by 2. So here's another way to do it. All right, so let's use the mirror tool. So now we're going to select the geometry we want mirrored. So we want to mirror all of this. We want all of that flip-flopped on the other side. The mirror line is the axis that it's going to flip over. So I want it to flip over this axis right here. And then we hit apply. And done. Now we can see how this is mirrored from one side to the other. The next thing that you're going to want to do is use the fillet tool. We need to round off our corners. If we look at our dimensions once again, these are corners 4 times r 0.20. So we have a radius of 0.2 at each corner. So let's fillet our corners. Oops. Notice that I did not turn off, I did not turn off the construction line. So we need to Control Z to undo. And now we redo our fillet of 0.2 with construction line turned off. We need these to be actual lines. And we hit finish sketch. All right, so now we need to extrude. We're going to extrude this whole sketch a distance of 0.31 inches. Now, if you look at the instructions, these are actually offset a little. So there's one more thing, 2 more things we need to do to finish up this sketch. We're going to go here and we're going to start a new sketch. All right. Now I'm going to use the project geometry button. What this is going to do is bring basically the sketch, underlying sketch here up as yellow lines so that we can use it as a basis to put other things down. So I click project geometry. Notice how the other sketch is laid up. So now we can use the rectangle and I just click here and I fill each of these spaces with a rectangle. Green dot to green dot. And we hit finish sketch. All right. So see, now that we've projected the geometry, we can see all of that. So I'm going to now extrude, and we want to extrude each one of these rectangles. So click each one after clicking extrude. Notice that's going the wrong way. We need it to do a cut. And the distance, we need it to go a certain distance. The distance is 0.03. That would be a distance that you were supposed to measure with a dial caliper, but we're not doing that. So it's a distance of 0.03. So we're going to hit OK. Finally, we need to do a fillet at the corner. All right. And where it's going to be a fillet, sorry, not 0.125. We're going to do a fillet of 0.1 right here at each corner. This is using the 3D fillet tool in the 3D model tab. We're going to hit OK. And there you go. You have the passenger base for the Automo blocks.